Meme review. Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to the review of a meme tank for sure. The rank 1 battle rating 1.3 in realistic and arcade battles, T26E. This is the by far inferior starter vehicle for the Soviets, with the BT7 or the BT5 being one of the best, if not the best, reserve tier vehicle in the game, along with the BT7, which you can shortly unlock to fill out your 1.3 lineup. Both of those with the incredible Christie design. It could have been an American light tank if we hadn't ended up with this Stuart, but such is not the case. Here you see us in a realistic battle to show off what this can do in a realistic match, and long story short, it has 30mm armor plating added to a majority of the frontal areas of the tank, as well as some of the sides in the crew compartment box you can see there. But it's not enough. It's too little armor to make a difference against the vehicles you're likely to face, for the most part, especially considering your driver's hatch is still only 15mm with no applique armor added. Look at these American speedy boys speedy boying all over the map, and we are hopelessly outmaneuvered. So the add-on armor for the T26E is more of a detriment than a help, as it doesn't stop the majority of rounds you'll face. But in some circumstances, you can play this thing like a rank 1 heavy tank. The mobility, already poor in the T26, is reduced significantly by all this add-on armor. And to sum everything up very quickly, in realistic battles, the T26E is a less good version of the less good reserve USSR tank. It lacks mobility in a battle where mobility is key. It does not have enough armor to make a difference, although there are circumstances and certain opponents that you can take advantage of, especially in rank 1 with less experienced players. But keep in mind that realistic battles will commonly see you facing experienced players, which is something that you will see in this match, disregarding myself, of course. my experience level is a bit beyond what would be fair for playing rank 1 matches, but I'm here to show you a tank. So what is the purpose of this tank? Why would you shell out between 6 and 12 Gaijin bucks on the market for this vehicle? I got this one for 8, by the way, and I was able to get it for free, babe, because I was playing the market during the event. So is this worth roughly 8 Gaijin bucks? For a collector like me, absolutely, because this is an extremely rare vehicle, and I think it will continue to be so. It's in the crate for April, but it's not going to be around for long. And the only other place you could get this was by buying in to the Ground Forces beta way back in the day. So this is something of a special vehicle for certain. It looks cool, it looks derpy, it looks like one of those Rush designs, and that's exactly what it is. And that's what I love about this tank, beside the fact that you have to change your strategy when you're playing this tank. And look at those cute little bogies, look at how teeny they are. The suspension on this thing is just not meant to carry a lot of weight, and it shows. And it's just one of those endearing, extremely low battle rating vehicles that is by no means overpowered. It does have a tiny reward for an experienced player, but you're never gonna grind in this vehicle. You're just gonna play this one for fun, for the giggles, and If you own this tank as a collector, it can be one of those very rare vehicles you can pick up for a fairly reasonable price right now on the market. And it may even be a decent investment if you want to play the market. The price on this does fluctuate, and as soon as that price fluctuates more than 20% or so, you can start making money by buying and selling the coupon for this vehicle. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So it's good for the market, trading back and forth. It's very rare, so it's a desirable vehicle for a collector. It is not powerful in battles. It will not sway a battle, and it has just enough of the aspects of a 1.3 battle rating pseudo heavy tank to have an interesting playstyle for an experienced player as the meta vehicles dance all around it. You can see that we have mixed up our positioning here. We've tried to be in a place that's convenient for us to get side and rear shots on the enemy as the M5s just scoot all around the battlefield, heedless of the world around them. And there's even some Japanese in this match against us that are scooting all around the place. We're definitely outclassed when it comes to mobility, and that's something you will be constantly reminded of in this vehicle. So to go back to describing the armor layout, I mentioned that there's 30mm plates you can see added on as applique armor. There's half of the upper front hull is covered with this 30mm plate. The driver's hatch is not covered, so it remains 15mm. Can we get a shot? Yes, we can on that M4, M3, BT? I'm not sure what that was. And it was just enough to take down his turret crew and not immobilize the vehicle, which is something we really needed to happen. Another thing to mention about this vehicle is the gun. It has the same 45mm cannon you see on all of the Soviet reserve vehicles and most of the rank 1 tanks. It's very reliable, reasonable velocity, good post-pen damage, not the best accuracy, but really nothing at this battle rating does have the best accuracy, and a good reload rate as well. All in all, it rewards tactical gameplay and is definitely one of those meta guns. So there's really nothing wrong with the gun on this tank. That is something to mention. It is perhaps the strongest, most effective and versatile cannon at the reserve or 1.3 battle rating. So that's something to keep in mind. It does have a good gun. Another thing I haven't mentioned, as we skip forward here, you'll see shortly. So here's a little bit of gunplay. You can see the post-pen damage is quite good, even though the round did not explode inside the enemy tank. Look at our reverse rate, extremely slow, which is generally a disadvantage, but there is one advantage to this very slow reverse rate, in that you can you can fire on the move with a reasonable amount of efficacy. And look at the reload rate. You can see we have an aced crew in this tank, so it's very, very fast. And alright, tractor down. So just a little bit of quick clips here as we condense things toward the end of this match. We know there's an enemy behind this corner, a little bit of side scraping, and just before we get our shot off, this very, how do I say this? This guy knew what he was doing, and he got a perfect shot into our driver's hatch, taking us down. That was the realistic battle. Now we're in arcade, and this is a familiar map to all of you, a map that actually works for rank 1 vehicles. It's a bit more broken for anything beyond rank 2 or 3, but I digress. You can see that we did not go straight for Death Valley, but instead we flanked around a bit, and we are reaping the rewards, getting some side shots into otherwise distracted people who are trying to cap this central capture zone. Not sure if that M3 wants to tango. Looks like he's not interested in us, which may be wise on his part. Never a good idea to push out against an entrenched foe. And now that we're fairly certain he is heading directly for the A point, we're going to go ahead and continue our flank, getting into our firing position and setting ourselves up for success. You can notice that we put some bushes over the driver's hatch, which I think is fairly reasonable. This would be considered scumbag gameplay for sure if you lurked in this low battle rating as an experienced player, but I'm just here to show you a tank. And it's definitely not one of those vehicles. Wow! Little tank toddler. Love that kid. It's definitely not one of those vehicles you want to take into a higher battle rating. As you see, we're getting some shots into the Italian starter tank, and he does have a reasonable amount of survivability even in arcade, and he's able to bounce some shots with his armor, but in the end there are those flat spots that we can punch through. Almost all of the rank 1 vehicles are going to be inconsistent when it comes to surviving fire from the enemy. Getting some nice hits into that T60. We have just enough armor, especially at this range, to not have to worry about his heavy machine gun. M2A4, he can definitely punch through our armor, but as usual, firing on the move doesn't work out all that well at this range, so I have the advantage. T26 enemy taken down by a nice shot that managed to punch through that intermediate armor. Not all that thick, but an extreme angle, so I was lucky to punch through that one. Dropping all the arty now because this is arcade. I get an arty every time I kill somebody, and you know what? I'm getting lots of arty. Arcade is a wild, wild place, and we are just set up in a perfect position here. That M2A1, not a bad idea to turn the booty toward the enemy, but if we aim our shots just right, we can still manage to take out crew, as you see there, and that last one takes him down. The 40mm cannon with a double kill. 45, I should say. Very effective weapon at this battle rating. Fantastic fire rate, good armor penetration qualities, APHE round with a surprising amount of post-penetration damage when you compare it with the majority of the competition. There's nothing wrong with the gun on the T26, and in arcade, you definitely have... Oh, look at that! Just shredding all of those people in that tank with one single round. You definitely have the ability to make a difference in arcade battles with this vehicle, as you can have, oh, bombs, bombs, love the bomb delay in arcade. They have about 5 seconds in the air or on the ground before they explode, giving us just enough time, even with our slow reverse rate, to get out of critical damage range, as he just gets a bit of damage on our transmission. We continue to open up here. Surprised the enemy hasn't really been targeting us, but we are difficult to penetrate at this range, especially if they don't know where our weak spots are. We're fairly well angled. 15mm side plates on the T26, which is not horrible at this battle rating if you want to go into a diamond formation. And you see that we did get penetrated there through the turret, but between the roughly 45mm of armor, the range, and the lack of AP filler, high explosive filler in that enemy round, our tank did manage to survive. With only 3 crew, if your turret crew does get taken out, you'll be into crew replenishment in arcade, or you'll be knocked out in realistic battles. Here we go, replenishing that 1 crew member, just so we can restore our reload rate. And we are back in the action. So, overall, I'd say that the T26 still struggles with mobility and reliable armor protection in arcade, but you definitely are able to make more of a difference in battles. Its weakness in terms of acceleration and hold traverse are not quite so bad in arcade, where you get that boost to horsepower, and the T26 is a fairly good all-rounder tank in general, although it's definitely outshone by the BT series of tanks, as I've mentioned before. Your one advantage is armor, Your armor is not reliable still, although it can save you every now and then. It really comes down to tactics, and at rank 1, good tactics go a long way, as you've seen, setting yourself up in those positions to be successful. But you should not be spending a lot of time in this tank in rank 1 battles. This is a fun collector tank, or if you're new to the game, I still wouldn't recommend you buy this tank as a starter vehicle, because you're only going to be able to grind out rank 1 or rank 2 vehicles efficiently with it, and that not so much, because the reward rate on rank 1 vehicles is rather poor. But if you do want to have some fun, it is a fun tank. Still, it really is preferable for an experienced player to play this vehicle, because you're not going to be able to get the most out of it unless you understand how to play the second mouse game. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about being the second mouse, I have a video on that, so feel free to look that up if you wish. I do have a series of vehicles for beginners that cover some things, and I would love to make some more of those, but they take some time, and time is one of those things that I do not have in abundance these days, but I would love to make some more beginner videos. If you're new to the game, once again, this is not the best tank to go and pick up on the market. If you're experienced, it's a great little treasure to have, but it's not a grinder. This is just one of those tanks you enjoy for what it is. Derpy, weird, unique, unnecessary, all those things that make Soviet modification vehicles so much fun to own and to play. If you're an experienced player and you want to screw around with your friends in a derp squad, this is a fun tank to have. It's not competitive at its own battle rating. It's not competitive outside its battle rating. It's just plain fun. So I had a great time in this tank. I definitely was stomping on some new players, especially in this arcade match. There were a decent number of experienced players in realistic battles, and it didn't take me too long to get into a battle. So if you're considering using this one for RB, I think that you will find yourself in good company, as we find ourselves out of ammunition and not realizing as we take one hit there from the Italian SPG, taking down our driver. Another hit takes down the transmission, but otherwise we remain intact. We were well angled against his round there, and he pinned us where he could, but it ended up not being enough damage. Of course, in a realistic battle, that would have taken us down, because we wouldn't have had that crew replenishment out in the field. So, just a little something to consider. Overall, to sum everything up, this tank was a lot of fun for me. I probably won't be playing it all that much, but it is one of those neat vehicles to have in your collection as a collector. It's weird, it's strange. I was able to pick it up for free because I played the event and sold some things. And you may be able to pick this up for as low as 6 to 8 Gaijin bucks on the market, which is the only place to get a hold of a new one right now. So for a few bucks to get a rare vehicle that definitely stands out, if nothing else, I consider that worth it, and it will be up to you. But as a collector, I say this is a nice little gem. It's a fun little tank, and if you want to just screw around with some friends, I think this is a great one to bring, even if you want to make them all laugh, to bring into a higher ranked battle. I would love to see people getting kills with the T26E in rank 4, rank 5 battles. Even the higher ranks, you do have the armor penetration to punch through side armor of a lot of the MBTs, so that's something to keep in mind as well. Anyway, there's how to get first place in a rank 1 battle. I know, you're welcome. And I think I've said everything there is to say about the T26E. It is a fun little tank. It's not worth spending a lot of money on, but it is something unique. Anyway guys, catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.